Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Desi Crypto Show. Today we have a very interesting project and a very interesting guest with us. So the project we're talking about is Rainbow Wallet, and it's an Ethereum wallet which I personally use and love. But we let Dame talk about it, and Dame is another interesting person. I follow him on Twitter, and like they have amazing threads and just a lot of stuff about NFTs. I let Dame take over. Dame, can you do a small introduction of yourself?
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks again for having me. Really excited to be on the show. So I do content, memes, and community stuff for Rainbow Wallet. We're like an up and coming wallet in the space, very involved in the community, very focused on providing some of the best like user experience, making a wallet that people actually want to love and enjoy and use on a regular basis. I started there a couple months ago and have been focused on trying to build out and write all the education content, helping new people to the ecosystem get onboarded, and really teaching people who are new to the space everything that they need to know in order to actually use the wallet really well. Up until I joined, they didn't really have any educational content. So this is kind of the first step that we're taking to help all those new people that are just about to enter the ecosystem.
That's awesome. So before we dive into Rainbow, I have some questions for you, right? Like, can you tell us how did you get into crypto and
Yeah.
how did you join Rainbow? Like, tell us about the journey.
Yeah, totally. Well, honestly, I think it's probably my crypto journey sort of started, I think, back in probably 2017. I saw it in the media a lot back then, and I had been watching it. I didn't really get involved, but I started paying much closer attention to it back in 2017. I didn't dive into it personally, though. It didn't seem. It seemed like there were a lot of people in the space that were, I don't know, just not the kind of people that like I was interested in hanging out with. But as time has gone over the years, I've seen a lot more people come into the Ethereum space. It's a lot bigger now. There's lots of different types of people, and so I think it was probably like 8 or 9 months ago. I finally started to feel like there's other people like me in this space that I feel like I could actually take a step in this and don't feel like a total like outsider. So I feel like 8 or 9 months ago, I started just doing a deep dive into blockchain technology, reading up how it works, doing a lot of research before I actually started investing in it, just because I was very curious to know, like, what is the underlying technology? How does it work? And I live in South Carolina in the United States, which is, according to Google search data, is like the state within the country that has the least amount of interest in cryptocurrency, which plays out in my day-to-day life because most of the people around me in my physical proximity, they are not into cryptocurrency. Probably most of them think that it's a scam or that it's just not a good thing. So it's a little odd and unlikely that I happened to get into crypto, but once that I did, I started doing all this research, just became very fascinated by the technology, and actually felt like this could actually be the future. And then from there, I just started like diving in, and Rainbow is actually the very first wallet that I ever downloaded. I downloaded it and started playing around, swapping coins on Uniswap, getting some Ethereum, some DAI, some other things. And the experience was just really fun. Rainbow made it, I don't know, Rainbow made the whole thing feel less like technical and more accessible. I think one of the things that had sort of kept me at a distance for a long time was just everything seems so technical, and I'm not like a technical person really. I come from like a design and a creative background, so I'm not a developer or a coder or anything like that. So anyways, but after I got into Rainbow, I just started going deeper and deeper into the space, got into NFTs, started like making some NFTs myself, following a bunch of artists. And it really was just kind of like a rabbit hole. Like, I know that people use that phrase a lot to describe crypto, but I just kept taking one more step into it. And then I think it was 3 months ago, I left my job at another tech company, like a traditional tech company, and I was trying to decide what I wanted to do next in my career. And I'd been making a bunch of friends on Twitter through the community, and I tweeted something to the effect of, hey, I just left my job. I'm actually interested in maybe getting a job here in the Ethereum space. Um, and because I had made quite a few friends over the span of 6 or 7 months of researching and learning, a lot of people shared that tweet for me. And I think directly from that tweet, I ended up getting like 7 or 8 job interviews and several job offers. And with Rainbow specifically, though, they didn't actually reach out to me. I actually reached out to one of their co-founders because he and I had like talked occasionally over the past 6 months. He was like somewhat familiar with me and he knew that I was a user. And I basically sent him a direct message and was like, hey, I really love your product. You know that I'm a marketer, that I write content, I'm a writer. I feel like I'd be a really great fit for, doing the kind of some of the kind of content and meme work that they needed. And sure enough, we had several interviews and talked about it. And yeah, the rest is history there. I accepted it and very, very, very glad to be working in the space that I'm in right now. It's just very exciting, a lot more interesting than like the other tech jobs that I've had in the past. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's a very awesome story because like you get to see, right? Like if you are in the right community and if you're trying to do the right thing, getting job is so easy because
Yeah.
the space doesn't have enough talent who just understands. So
Yeah. Yeah, no,
like,
the understanding part is the biggest thing. Like I've talked to several other of my marketing friends and they've been interested in the crypto space
yeah,
and are kind of thinking about wanting to get a job there. And the whenever they ask me for advice, the thing I tell them is like, one, the space desperately needs that help. There is to your point, there is a talent gap there, and we need more people who can do that. But the problem is most marketers just don't know how blockchain technology works. They don't know anything about Ethereum.
yeah,
And so the thing I always tell people is just start researching right now. Like dive as deep into as you can and learn before you even try to like find a job. Like because it'll just give you a significant competitive advantage.
I agree. I agree. Just take 3 months and like $100 or $1,000 and just dive deep in and
Yeah, play with
learn.
it.
Like that's the only way to go
Yeah,
about it. All right.
truly.
So let's talk about Rainbow, right? Like so, hey, MetaMask exist, right? Why is there a need for a new wallet? Please tell me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to. Well, first off, I come into this from an interesting perspective because when I got started in Ethereum and crypto, I didn't even try MetaMask or know about them, which was kind of mind blowing to most of the people that I met in this ecosystem. Because I'm sure like you've been here a while, much longer than I have. Like everyone knows MetaMask. Everyone uses it practically. It's like the thing everyone goes to
Yeah.
because most dApps and websites have a direct MetaMask integration. The problem, of course, is there's a lot of different things going on with MetaMask that sometimes makes that experience not as fun. It's also like a desktop first application. Like they started as a browser extension, and you can tell from their product that like that is at the heart of what they've always been doing as a browser extension. Um, with Rainbow, we started from a very different place, which is we started at instead of focusing on a desktop or the web browser, we said let's go all in on mobile first because we got the sense that if the way the masses were most likely going to adopt this new technology was going to be through their mobile devices because that's what most people are using on a day-to-day basis. And we wanted to try to make a crypto Ethereum experience on mobile just be really, really amazing. So that's what we started out by doing is building this great mobile app. It's been around for a couple of years now. It's now gotten to the point where we are expanding out beyond mobile. So we just introduced these things called web profiles, which allow you to showcase your NFTs online and share them. We've got a lot of other big plans in the works to expand even past just that. Even crazy things like, I know our co-founder the other day was talking about an Apple TV app. We're about to launch publicly on Android. So we're doing all this stuff. But really, at the end of the day, the thing that we think, the space is big enough for many wallets, but the thing we think that Rainbow has this sort of an advantage over other wallets is we just deliver a really great experience, and it feels really easy and simple while still having like a lot of the complexity of crypto without having to have all like the technical weight of it. So we find it to be more user friendly for new people, especially. But we also, if the community has shown us anything, a lot of power users also like to use this, not just the new beginners as well.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So I think I'd like to add few things which I heard from you. You're talking about like mobile first, right? Like, and what I see is like I am trying to build a community in India, and there are a lot of new people coming in, and they have also not interacted with MetaMask at all, right? They've used Binance Smart Chain. They are
Right.
trying to use Uniswap, but they can't, and they're doing it through Trust Wallet, right?
Yes.
So their
Yep.
first experience on chain is these, they want to do it on mobile, and the thing is, a lot of us in like India or rest of the world, we are very comfortable with mobile, right?
Yep.
And not everyone has computers, or not
That's
everyone
right.
uses them. And so like we didn't have a gaming revolution. People didn't come not a lot of people in India played CS or Dota or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Like they started when the mobile gaming
Yes.
hit, PUBG,
Yep.
clash clash of
Yes.
clans. So I think we were so used to doing things with mobile, and
Yep.
that's a light bulb moment that, hey, if you have to get the next so many like multiples of users, I think they will be
Yes.
mobile first.
Yeah.
So
Well, also I feel like one of the things that, one of the reasons why I feel like that's going to be more and more true, like all over the world, is most people don't take a computer with them, out into the world, out of their houses, into their day-to-day lives. But everyone like has their phone with them pretty much all the time. And I think, we wanted to make sure that, uh, you know, as especially one day as cryptocurrencies become adopted into the mainstream and you're able to use them as payments in more places, you're going to have that with you at all times. It's not going to be something that you want to have on the desktop. And so now we've gotten to the point now where, because we're a leading mobile wallet app, and there's several other now mobile wallet apps, more and more of like the new technology and the dApps that are coming out, they're now making sure that their mobile experience is just as good as the desktop experience, which has been a problem in the past. Like I feel like from my experience, a lot of websites and crypto sites didn't actually like focus on the mobile side of
yeah,
things.
not at all.
So now it's finally getting to the point where like everything is actually focused upon that as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I pretty much agree. So tell me more about Rainbow. Like you guys are going heavy into UI and UX, right? Making it extremely
Very.
simple. And
Yep.
I think you're currently only available on iOS. So what are the plans for Android? I got the beta invite, so I used
Yep.
it and I love it. And I think I just add on to this as a clip that like I bought a song of my friend as an
Oh
NFT.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes. I
and
love it.
I clicked on the song, and it took some time, but it was playing. Like I could play an song which I bought as an NFT onto my
Yes.
phone. Like, do I need Spotify anymore? I don't know.
Yeah, I saw you tweet about that. I
Yeah,
I don't know. I love that. That's one of the things that is not in my NFT collection right now, is I don't have any music and I need to
yeah,
get some. So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, to your point about user experience and design, like one of the one of the I know for me, when I first got into crypto, the reason I didn't for a long time was because I looked at everything, and I come from a design background, but I'm also not a coder or developer. And so when I looked at most of the apps out there, they were just not things that I could see myself using. They were really hard to understand. And unfortunately, like Ethereum is kind of a complicated thing. Like you do have to think about, gas
Yeah,
transactions, all
yeah,
these fees, it
yeah.
fluctuates on a daily basis. So there's a lot of like confusion and difficulty people have. And, one of the things that we're trying to do as we continue to develop the app is, instead of a lot of like wallet apps function exactly the same. They'll give you all the exact same features. It'll all look relatively similar. One of the things we're trying to do is not just take what everyone else is doing and assume that, oh, let's just do that also. We're very much trying to figure out how to best like frame certain features. So like, for instance, in the app, we have a little savings feature, which most people don't realize this, but under the surface, it's just a compound finance integration. So people can basically deposit their stable coins into a compound contract and receive an APY percentage off of it. Now, a lot of wallet apps or things like that, they might not even have that integration to begin with, but they might also just, you can connect to Compound, you can do that yourself using the app. But our approach is, we started getting the sense that if we wanted to get more normal everyday people into the app, into the ecosystem, we needed to start building out features that were going to be relatable and make sense to people. And most people do have this sense of like, oh, I need to be saving money. So like, can we build into the app a savings feature to where you could deposit money into it and actually get a percentage based off of what you deposit? So trying to do a lot of things like that. We've got some other interesting features they're going to be coming out, especially around like gas and handling transactions as the new EIP 1559 comes out. So there's lots of things like that that we're trying to do on the design front to make it just feel a lot simpler and easy to use, and not like annoy people or make them feel overwhelmed.
Awesome, awesome. So I'll ask you about the EIP 1559 in a bit. But before that, this is something I've seen, right? Like, I think you have a Uniswap integration. Uh,
Yep.
and like, you can go and exchange your crypto right in the app, instead of me going to a Uniswap, attaching my wallet
Right.
and then doing a swap. And then you
Yep.
also have like DeFi Pulse Index, and a lot of things, right? Like, can you please like tell us what all you have in there?
Yeah, totally. Well, you mentioned a few good ones. Obviously, Uniswap is a big part of the app. Right now we only are using one decentralized exchange integrated into the app, mainly just because Uniswap is like the leading decentralized exchange right now. It's one of the biggest ones, and we wanted to give new people into the system the ability to be able to access a decentralized exchange instead of it just being purely a wallet. So that's helped, people get into the system a lot easier, because normally with some other wallet apps, you'd have to get the wallet, and then you would have to know to go to Uniswap's website and know how to connect. Whereas in our app, you can just download the app, and immediately, like, you can see, oh, there's a swap button, so I can swap this currency for that currency without having to even think about Uniswap under the surface. And thankfully, Uniswap makes that really great and easy for us to do. Yeah, and other ones, we have the DPI, and the thought behind adding DPI was, more and more people are hearing about the term DeFi, and they're wondering, what is DeFi? It often has a lot of like volatile sort of connotations about it. People know that it's risky. It's hard to like navigate it, just because there are thousands of tokens and you don't really even know which ones you should be buying.
Mhm.
So DPI is this great sort of almost like an index fund, but for DeFi. I think it's Index Co-op that
Yeah,
puts it on.
yeah.
And by integrating that directly into the app, like, we were able to. It's actually not even really an integration in some sense. Like, it's just us sort of surfacing this really great way people can get started with a DeFi without having to manually go and find a bunch of tokens and swap for them. So with DPI, you can get basically like I think it's 15 different tokens, almost sort of wrapped and bundled into one. And yeah, we've got a lot of other great integrations as well. Like, one of the things that we're focused on right now is preparing for layer 2. So a lot of these layer 2 and sidechain things are coming out, and we're going to be having a native integration for Arbitrum and Optimism, as well as Polygon Matic. And those things are going to make the same shortcuts that we've given people to access Uniswap. We're about to be doing that with things like Polygon as well. So really excited about that.
So yeah, man, this sounds pretty amazing with layer 2 integrations and using DeFi, or like investing in DeFi, or even using DeFi, because swapping is DeFi
Right.
directly
Yep.
into the app just sounds amazing. And
Yep.
I think with all these scaling solutions, I think more people would want to try out Ethereum. So I'm
Yeah, no,
pretty much
we're very excited to get the layer 2 stuff implemented, because one of the biggest, like, I'm sure you're aware of this, like one of the biggest frustrations people have is like the fees and the transaction stuff that happens. And honestly, it's like, it's one of our frustrations as well, because it's making it so that, you know, the high transaction fees that the Ethereum blockchain can sometimes have in its current state, that's making it even harder for more and more people to experience, you know, Ethereum and Rainbow. And so, like, one of our primary reasons behind like getting these native integrations for these layer 2 solutions is so that we can more easily onboard more people. Like, I know personally in my life, whenever I tell a friend about Ethereum or I show them my wallet and they start asking questions and they get interested in it, they're usually very interested up until the point that they find out like how expensive it can get.
Yeah.
So like for me personally, I'm really excited, you know, here in the next few months, once that stuff is fully integrated and rolled out, like I'll be able to start going and showing more friends about it and having them dive right into it without them immediately having like this, okay, this is not for me moment.
Yeah. Awesome. That makes sense. So I think I'll ask you some questions about India. So what do you hear about India sitting there, and what do you know of India? Have you ever been here? Like, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so I've never been before, but I feel like I've heard a lot about India from like the technology space, because y'all are doing so much in that side of things, especially around, to your point from earlier, like the mobile side of things. Like, I know that mobile, and especially mobile payments, are a huge thing in India, and it's been growing really rapidly. Like, I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but then like the numbers that are coming out from like technology adoption are just like insane. Anyways, so that's, you know, the mobile, like the mobile first sort of culture that y'all have over there is, it really resonates with me, because while I have like I have a laptop that I use for work, most of my life is conducted via a mobile device. Like, even like, you know, that I'm a writer, I actually even do a lot of my writing on my mobile device. Like, I sit there and type with two thumbs, and some of the essays that I've written, I've actually written on my phone before. And so I don't know, I'm really encouraged and excited to see that like more and more countries are taking this sort of like very mobile first approach, because I think that, you know, that is going to be, I don't know what the future is going to look like exactly, but I feel like that is the future. Like, I feel like having desktop computers or laptops, that's going to be a thing that some people have in like a professional work environment, and maybe like artists who need that kind of large device. But you know, for most normal people, I feel like it's going to go to the mobile side of things. And I also love that, because I feel like, you know, Rainbow is also, you know, provided we can start localizing the app and start translating it into those different markets, like it's going to mean that we'll be able to like actually, you know, help more people get into the ecosystem that way as well.
Awesome. That sounds extremely interesting. So I have one more question about Rainbow. How did the name come about? Like, so I would like to
That's
hear that
actually
story.
that's actually a really good question. I actually don't know 100%. I think from what I remember, one of the founders telling me at some point is there wasn't like some big backstory behind it. I think they were wanting to start a wallet app, and I think a bunch of people, a bunch of their friends just started tossing out name ideas. And I think that was just, I don't think there was some big story around it. I think that was definitely, it just sort of happened. But it is interesting in hindsight though, because like if you look at a lot of the other wallet apps on the market, they have really, like they have kind of, I don't know, intimidating sounding names, or the logos can be kind of, I don't know, like edgy or kind of techy looking. And I think, to the founders, like credit, like the fact that they went with this thing that, like, a rainbow is something that a lot of people have seen out in nature. It's very bright and colorful and kind of friendly and welcoming, which is kind of not what a lot of the crypto space can be sometimes. So whether it was by accident or on purpose, like it's worked out really well, because it I feel like the logo, the name really do sort of embody like the kind of vibe and the feelings that we're trying to evoke in people as they use the app. Like we want people, when they use the app, to be like as bright and colorful and happy as like you are when you see a rainbow. So I don't know. I love that about it, and I think it definitely makes us stand out a bit more too, because all the other ones only have one color or a couple colors, and we have all of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, yeah, before we end this, I would like to ask you just like fun questions, because
Yeah.
like we have interacted on Twitter. So I would
Yes.
really like to know, like what projects, what NFT projects are you currently like buying or experimenting with, and
Yeah. Totally.
just ask you about your writing.
Ooh,
What are you writing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've got so many. I'm like constantly finding new projects. It's kind of overwhelming. Like I don't, like I don't even have, I don't have enough money to actually be like buying all these NFTs. But
Yeah.
when I do have some money to like spend on that kind of stuff, like lately I have been, I'm sure if you've seen, like I've been playing this game called Dark Forest.
Mhm.
That's really fun and cool, and kind of paving, similar to like Axes, like it's trying to do this thing in like build out a really cool, fun game on the blockchain, which I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface of what's possible there.
Mhm.
And you like through things like Dark Forest and Axes and CryptoKeys, like we've already seen like it's gaming on the blockchain is going to be huge going forward. So like that's really exciting to me. NFTs wise, like I have like a I'm very into like these things called blip maps that the co-founder of Vine created. I'm also very into some other like smaller time
Wait,
artists
the
that don't.
co-founder of Wine created Bitmaps?
Yeah, Dom. Yeah, I think his name is
Oh,
Dom. He created the project, but Blip Map is like a I think it has like 100 different artists
mhm,
collaborated on this one project. So it like has art from a bunch of different artists.
mhm.
But yeah, he was the person that like had the idea and sort of led the initiative and got it going. And I think he coded like the contract and everything. But yeah, he doesn't like publicly talk about it that much. Like
Uh,
I feel like people just sort of have to remember the fact or look him up online and discover like, oh yeah, that's the guy that made Vine.
he's a legend, man. Like
Yeah,
I
I'm
think,
still so sad that Vine died.
yeah, like I think the entire revolution of internet culture or TikTok or the reels we see today is because of Vine. Like it's like
Yes.
I think like a lot of Gen Zs won't know, or
Uh-huh.
they won't appreciate what like Vine
They're
is.
seeing
Yeah.
it now. They're seeing Vine now through like how it influenced things
Uh-huh.
like TikTok, which
Uh,
is, I don't know, I feel like one day we're gonna like read history books and like you were gonna
yeah.
see that like Vine really did have this big impact on the way a lot of social media ended up evolving.
So Vine is like the CryptoPunks of
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's like it had this
yeah.
very and also like as you talk as you're as you ask me about these like projects that I'm interested in right now, like one of the things I am when like I see new projects every day, but like the projects that I really focus on and like spend a lot of time and energy around or thinking about are those projects that I feel like have the potential of having some kind of like cultural impact, which
Mhm.
is like, you know, things like Dark Forest and Uniswap and Axes. These are the kinds of things that like they're gonna have an impact on
Yeah,
the space for years to come. And that's what I want to be involved in, is the stuff that I feel like is going to have that kind of impact.
I agree. I agree, and I think that that's where it's life changing for other people and people like us, because this is how you can build generational wealth, by being
Yes.
so early into something and just
Yep.
being there, right? Like that's
Being willing to be there early and
yeah,
be there when things
yeah,
are,
yeah.
not perfect yet.
Yeah, yeah. So I find that quite interesting. And
Yeah.
yeah, you said that you don't have a lot of ETH, so you can go and buy these NFTs. So I think that's why you started the Self project. So
Yeah.
it funds your NFT buying addiction. Can you tell us a little
What?
bit more about that? Because I find that
Yeah,
very interesting.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I started making NFTs. I think I minted my first NFT back in March of this year, sort of when it really took off and people started thinking a lot about NFTs. And I did it just for fun initially. I have an art and design background, so I've I've sold artwork in the past, like physical artwork. I used to do painting a lot. I was a graphic designer full time. So I come to the crypto space with sort of this design and creative side. And when I got here, I immediately was just like, this NFT stuff is like right up my alley. Like I love the art community. I love what it's empowering digital artists to do. And so I just started like minting NFTs and just playing around with it, experimenting to see what would happen. And as the months have gone by, I've seen a lot more like really creative projects that are thinking about how to use the blockchain in like new and interesting ways. Like you see lots of projects being dropped right now that are very similar to CryptoPunks and there are a lot of those kinds of projects out there. And I have some of those. I don't have CryptoPunks. I'm not that rich, but I have like some of those kinds of projects. But one of the things I'm really interested in are some of these more like experimental kind of projects that might not see any like big success to the scale of like CryptoPunks or something like that. But things that are a bit more experimental and fringe that might be able to influence the way like this sort of crypto art space continues to evolve. Like there are a bunch of sort of OG crypto projects that most people never heard about, and they aren't famous. They didn't blow up like CryptoPunks did, but
Who
they
gets?
had, yeah, it's true. But they had like an influence on the space, and a lot of people don't even know about it. So like, as I'm thinking about making my own art projects on the blockchain, I'm not thinking them so much about them as a potential like financial investment or a way to make money or fund something. It's more for me like how can I use the blockchain, because the thing that's exciting me about the blockchain is when I think about art history, art has been evolving for thousands of years, and it can almost feel like everything's been done before. But now that the blockchain is here, suddenly lots of new possibilities are opening up that have never really been possible before. And so for me as an artist, I see it as this amazing potential to do something really fresh and new that hasn't been done before. And so, with this self project that I launched, that really was just an idea that I had on a weekend that I've been really fascinated with sort of like the social nature of the blockchain and how like people get connected via their wallet addresses, and you can go onto the blockchain, you can view anyone's address and like what's in their wallet. And there's lots of like interesting, I think in the future of like wallets, there's going to be a lot more social components right now. Like currently most wallets just have sort of like the send and receive option. But I think in the future, there's going to be a lot more like ways to socially interact with people. And so with this art project that I decided to do, my thought processing behind it was, how can I use this really like social nature of the blockchain and almost use people's social interactions as the fuel or the medium by which I end up making an art. So like when I think about painting, you know, the ingredients that I use to paint are like the paints and the oils and the primers and things like that. And with digital art, so many people just approach it and think, okay, all I have are these pixels and, you know, paint, like digital paint essentially. But the thing that I'm really interested in is sort of on a conceptual level. Yes, my project is going to have a visual pixel component, but there's also this added layer of how can an art project connect people in such a way that like it's going to be something that happens psychologically in their mind instead of just visually through their eyes. So that's sort of what I'm like. That's the kind of thing that I'm exploring right now, because I'm really fascinated by how like traditional tech, like Twitter and social media, how that has influenced all of us psychologically and what that has done to us. Who knows like what this, you know, emerging blockchain technology, what impact that's going to have in the next 10 to 15 years. But looking back, I would like to, like, if I had any kind of an impact in this space, I would like to be able to look back and say that I was like actively thinking about how this could happen before it actually did.
Wow. Wow, that sounds very interesting. It's very cool, and I think it's similar for most of us, right? Like we are here early, and we want to create some kind of impact which should be lasting, or it might not last, but it will at least be some kind of effect. So yeah,
Yeah. Even on like some level, like when people think about impact, I feel like a lot of people in the crypto space are thinking about like the impact they have. How
mhm,
can we help shape this environment? Like I know right now DAOs are a really popular thing, and lots of people are wanting to talk about that and sort of help influence the direction it goes. I think, you know, I think a lot of us, I know I have this temptation. We tend to think that like impact is only impact if it reaches the masses, or
mhm.
you know, it's something that is written down in history or something. Whereas like I tend to, my sort of mindset with all these things, even with that art project called Self, is like I don't the odds of me like having some sort of a large impact that like lots of people know or remember, that's very, very slim that will happen. Like maybe it will, who knows? But like on a day-to-day basis, I know that I can have a tangible impact in at least like one person's life in some way.
Yeah.
So like it's, you know, for me, it's, that's like when I talk about the relational side of the blockchain, that to me is another component of it, of like, instead of focusing on the millions of Ethereum addresses there are, like, how can I just like make more of an impact in just a handful of them, but make sure that like it really is a really like solid and meaningful contribution.
That makes sense. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So, last question, or maybe one more. What are you like? What are you looking forward in the crypto space, and what is the future of Rainbow? What are you guys going to do
Ooh.
right now? So,
Yeah.
hit
Oh
us
man.
with some alpha.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Well, I mean, I think you know, the biggest thing is definitely going to be like the social component, I think. Like I don't know when, I don't know what our timeline it looks like for doing more social stuff within Rainbow, but almost every conversation I have internally, or like when people are just bouncing ideas off and the founders are talking, like the ideas of having more ways for Rainbow to be a social app are at the top of the mind. So like right now, as I said earlier, like really all you can do is send and receive
Mhm.
cryptocurrencies. And now that we've introduced like the web profiles, you can now more easily share NFTs with people. But you know, one of the things we're thinking about is how can we make it so that, you know, how can we help sort of like, as Web3 is evolving and we're going from a centralized social media ecosystem, how can we like help evolve it in the direction of being a more decentralized, you know, sort of social ecosystem? So I think I'm not sure what the specifics of it look like, but I think that we're going to start to see a lot of like social stuff occur within the app. I think we're also, um, we're going to be focused a lot over the next 6 months on driving this layer 2 stuff like that. Like initially it's going to be like pretty simple in the sense that like you're going to be able to like send and receive, layer 2 assets. You're going to be able to view them and hold them, all that kind of stuff. But as that starts to evolve, we're going to be able to start integrating more layer 2 dApps and things. And now in like for the longer term future, the things that like I'm most excited about, like I know me personally, I'm excited for when the day is going to come when I can go to a store in the physical world and use Rainbow to pay for something like that. Like that's gonna require a lot of steps to get there, just because of where we are right now with crypto adoption. But there's not a day that goes by that I don't go out of my house and I have to go to a store or spend money on something with my credit card, and I think, I wish I was doing this with so and layer 2 is going to be a big component of that, because it'll cut down all those fees and stuff that people are experiencing that doesn't make that really feasible. So I don't know the time frame, like what is that going to look like, but I really hope that it's within the next couple of years, because I don't know, that would be really amazing.
So it generally happens sooner than we expect.
Right, I hope so.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So yeah, thank you for taking your time out and being here. And if someone wants to learn more about Rainbow or contribute to Rainbow, how can they go about it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I would definitely start by going to our website, which is rainbow.me. From there, you'll be able to actually like get a link to our Twitter. You'll be able to even see our GitHub repository. So Rainbow is an open source app, so anyone can go on and they can look at our code if they want. Like we've even had people submit features to the app that they have made themselves, and we don't always accept them and things like that, but just like as a recent example, someone was wanting to add markdown support for NFT descriptions and things, and so they coded it themselves and submitted it to us, and after reviewing it, like we added it to the app. So anyways, so you can find out a lot more about Rainbow on our website. Definitely follow us on Twitter. The handle is @rainbow.me. That's the best place to connect with us, honestly, on Twitter. We're on Twitter a lot.
Awesome. So I'll put down all the links in the description. So thank you for taking your time out and being here. It was a lovely conversation.
Thank you for having me. It was a great conversation, and the questions you asked were very like thought provoking. I feel like I'm going to leave the conversation like with even more interesting thoughts to like, I don't know. I just have so many ideas for this space, and having conversations like this helps me think through things.
That's amazing. That's amazing.